Meet my grandfather Fritz. Simply stated, my grandfather on my mother's side is the reason that I'm an artist today. As a child, I watched a man whose job was to work on art, who then created art when he was not at work. Art was the focus of his entire life. Here's a picture of his workshop in the 70s. Here's my grandfather working on murals at a church. Here he dedicated countless hours of his craft in a selfless tribute to God. Combining his art with his life, here's my grandfather's portrait of my mom in 1976. Here's a picture of my mom displaying the very same painting in a newspaper article from the early 80s. We were all very, very proud. Next, a portrait my grandfather painted of his wife, my grandmother before she was ravaged by Parkinson's disease. You can see my mom's face in this painting. Finally, my grandfather's portrait of his own mom. We knew her as Grandma Wolf. In this painting, I can see my grandfather's face in her face. Next, my grandfather's portrait of the great Beethoven. My grandfather sat me down and had me listen to countless hours of Beethoven as a kid. This instilled in me a great love and respect for music that stays with me to this very day. This leads to one of my two favorite possessions, my grandfather's bust of Beethoven. This symbolic tribute created awe and inspired me to pursue my own love of music without reservation in my own life years later. Note his name there on the back. Now, my other favorite possession, my grandfather's bust of Dr. Martin Luther King. Destroying any possible corruption of me by way of the ills of society while I was a child, this symbolic tribute to the ideals put forth by Dr. King instilled in me a reverence for the aspects of the culture that he represented. Here are various shots of the two of them together. If there's a fire, I'll rescue them by any means. They're the most important objects of my entire life as they encompass family history, culture, and my heritage as an artist. Not to mention, they were two of the greatest people to ever walk the face of the earth. In 1987, I tried to bridge the gap between art and music on my own terms and extend my grandfather's legacy with this portrait that I did of the great Louis Armstrong. I would play trumpet for the next 25 years. Finally, my cousin's cornet. This old ambassador from the 60s was handed down to me by my grandfather's nephew Lance, who once played it for my grandfather.
And now, for Beethoven and Dr. King, and also for my grandfather, with my cousin's cornet. This is called Fritz. Grandpa, I would not be who I am today if it was not for you. Thank you.